Announced this in late November. It's been nuts, you know, since not a response like it since way before I was at Pioneer, you know, with the XDJ-1000s, and I think it's been like that for a couple of. I think the response has been so big because it is kind of at the first of an era, you know, the first. We've got XDJ products out there, and XDJ brackets it as a specific record box player. And there's an XDJ-R1, there's an XDJ Aero, and they're both all-in-one solutions, but they're nothing like this. This was the first flatbed player, and what kind of sparked everyone thinking this was the dawn of the new, you know, the evolution of the CDJs. It's, if you look at it, this bit, it's definitely not a CDJ-1000. This is a CDJ, if anything, this is a CDJ-850. The layout, you know, it's the exact same layout. Same size jog wheel as the, you know, the larger players, 209mm jog with the transport controls in the same place. You got a reverse button, which the 850 didn't have. Looping controls, vinyl speed adjust, jog mode, so you can put vinyl and CDJ mode, and of course your tempo controls over here with master tempo. But if you look at the front, it's flush. There's no CD drive, which is why everyone was kind of going nuts about it as well. But it's when you go up here that it gets really exciting. You've got the massive 7-inch LED, really high-res color screen that's angled as well, so slightly easier to see, with one USB port here. That's your kind of sole connection to this player. Although this track is coming directly from my laptop, like you just saw me do. I just dragged the track onto there. You've also got a USB at the back, so you can HID control Serato. Really not the best method of using this, but I guess for venues that might have a CDJ-850 or a CDJ-800 or CDJ-1000, this would be the ideal solution to put in. But you can't just limit everyone to using USBs. Having the HID controller Serato means, you know, venues have got more of an option. But yeah, let's put this in and I'll talk you through it. The screen is bigger than the XDJ-1000 Nexus, but there's no hardware controls running around the outside. There's no buttons on here. So the buttons have all been put into the screen, which is touch sensitive. It's pressure responsive. So it's not reacting to the electricity in your fingertips. So it doesn't matter if you've got gloves on, or if your fingers are wet, or if this is sticky from beer, or whatever. You can still use it. But all of these buttons along the far left and across the top, they're all the hardware controls from the 2000 Nexus that would be around the perimeter of the screen. Zoom in slightly so you can see it a bit better. Now, we're seeing this track, and we're seeing record box flash up here. That's because this is our source select. That is reading my laptop. Because it's connected via Ethernet, you can see Anderson MacBook, and then there's everything that's on my laptop in here. All my playlists, you know, you're seeing all the advanced record box search categories, everything I'm going to show you, but I'm going to show you from the USB. If I hit link, you probably already know this because it's on every other linkable player. That will allow you access to the USB on your XDJ-1000 opposite, or across 3 XDJ-1000s, or, you know, 4 or any kind of linkable player in the chain. If we jump to USB though, first thing you see in my settings data was found. Press menu button to load. So I didn't show you, but you can customize all of the settings for the XDJ and the CDJ inside the software. So I use 3 of these, or 3 2000s. When I get to the club, if someone's gone in and messed around with, you know, the LCD brightness, and there's a lot more options on the 2000 Nexus, but if it's not how I want it to be, the tempo's on wide, master tempo's off, syncs on. All you got to do now is, once your USB's in there, go menu, load, and bang, it jumps how you want it to be. And this is the main draw to it. This is the thing that I like the most, really. It's easy to find my music. You know, I've got all of these options that I've chosen to be displayed in this order. My ratings, color scheme, key. It's all here directly from the hardware. And as this is kind of replacing the 850, it's kind of, it's ridiculous to look at the pair of them together. You can't even compare them. You've got all of this information. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines of info there. Let's go in, and I'm not gonna. The tune I wanted was the Dawley track, wasn't it? Let's have. I'm just looking on my laptop to check the name of it because I'm not going to go into the playlist to find it. I'm going to show you. What was it called? Confessions of a Dancer. Let's say you come up and ask me to play that. I don't have to spend time going through all of the playlists searching for something. I can just hold down this, and then you get the QWERTY keyboard. So this is exclusive to the XDJ-1000, and everyone kind of wants to know how how easy it is to get on with, and it's so straightforward, man. As long as you can spell, again. But yeah, there we go. You've got your erase over here if you want to go back and search for something else. But there's my track. Just click on that. It's loaded in. You're getting all the record box info, full waveform down the bottom with Hotcued B, Hotcued C. Massive waveform display on here. And we'll work our way round. So, bar countdown straight away. This is counting down how many bars to the cue points that I've laid out. So that's the reasoning behind setting the cue points at every drop. If I'll just use the needle search here to scan through. There is needle search, it's on the touch screen. But if I'm here, I can see the next cue point is coming up in 38 bars.
They usually dance around a table.
You know, for tunes that don't adhere to the correct structure, you know, dropping on 16s and 32s and 64s, this is great. Or tunes that go massive breakdowns and they go silent and you're like waiting to try and cue the other track and you miss it every time. This is brilliant because you can see it coming. Go back to the start for a minute. So I know I've got ages to my next cue point. You can punch in loops the old-fashioned way, in, except they're quantized, which is great. And we're kind of used to it now because it's been on the Nexus for ages. But you can zoom in on that loop. And you also get the same template controls here as well. As soon as you jump into a loop, bang, the loops come up, the loop template, so you can shorten the loop. If you don't like the look of that, you can remove it, like here, put it in loop mode. You can bring that on and take it away. And you can still lengthen and shorten the loops using the loop divide and the loop double up here. It will still show you the length of the loop that you're setting down here. So if we go to a 32-beat loop, it's displaying it on here, and I can still see all the info on the waveform come out of that loop. Go to slip mode. You know, I don't even use these anymore. I just go loop mode, 8 or 16. So I always use the templates. Slip mode, you probably all know what that is, but it basically allows you to, when that's switched on, I've stopped the track, but it's still playing underneath. You can see that's counting down towards the drop. So it's a nice little performance tool that you can use with the reverse or any controls. You can use it with the start-stop.
I became a part of it because I was.
Sounds pretty terrible. It's just gone into the breakdown.
It was a form of
you can also use, when you're in slip mode, these templates now give you slip loops. So let's
to continue my dance.
Scan forward. So if I go slip mode, you've probably seen all this before, but features from the 2000 Nexus. Each of these loops that I'm assigning, the track is still playing underneath.
Dance around, dance.
Really easy to use. Doesn't take much practice to sound good using it. Moving across over to here, you've got everything you'd expect. You can change the time, whether you want that to be elapsed or remaining. You can hold it down and auto cue will be disabled as well. You've got your syncing controls over here. If it was linked up to another player, you can sync it. And I'm going to show you the quantize in a minute, but I've got my cue loop and call buttons here, so I can jump to each cue point that I've set as well. If you've got a specific cue point that you want to jump to mix from, you've got the ability to use in this. It's all, you know, just functions taken straight from the 2000. This is where it differs a bit though. There's not A, B and C down the side. You've got this performance button up here, or sorry, a perform button. And that gives us access. It encroaches on the screen quite a bit, especially if you're in a loop. You're only seeing a very small fragment of the waveform up there. But it has got Hotcues, so we can jump straight to that loop that I set, or I can jump to the end loop. If I remove this loop mode, you can see I'm right at the end of the track. Bang, jump to my loop that was 16 beats before the drop. And I'm going to load up. I'm going to come out of this loop. I'm going to sample this. So the reason I put Professional Widow in that playlist is because it's got a great example of just search for it using the QWERTY keyboard. Professional Widow. It's got a great example of a loop before a drop. So let's set the BPM right. What is it? 1, 2, 3. Let's see on here. 1, 2, 4. Jump to my Hotcues. So I always mix this tune from that point of the track, and I hadn't even heard this version, this entire breakdown, to be honest with you. And it's looping, it comes in, it loops, and when you're ready for it to go, you can just exit the loop. Now, the reason I wanted to show it to you is because I've got an active loop running here. It always starts looping at that point in the track, and it saves my life because I always mix it usually with a vocal track, and I have the vocal running in this track, you know, the original one, and this one running. And I used to forget to loop it at this point all the time. It's because if I come out of the loop, she starts singing. So that active loop that starts looping when she starts singing, before she starts singing, is amazing. And it's just to give you an example that you don't have to use that active loop right at the end of the track to set a percussive point just so you don't run out of music. You can use it to perform as well. What else we got? This is exclusive. So you've got a beat jump feature here. How many times have you been, like I said, queuing a track up and you know you're mixing a track into this one that works so great if you cue it at this specific time and you miss it? You know, that beat countdown, bar countdown is great for not missing the drops, but for whatever reason, if you do miss it, if I'm queuing this track up over here on a separate deck and I miss it, oh, that's really annoying. You can jump back using the beat jump, quantize. So it's kind of a lifeline, or if that section of the track is really stagnant, you can jump forwards. Barely even hear it there. You definitely get away with it in the club anyway, and you can do that forwards or backwards by 4 beats, 2 beats, 1 beat. If you're in a loop, you can move your loop forwards and backwards as well. So you can just shift your loop forward into a breakdown or shift it back into, you know, a main section of a track. Nothing revolutionary, nothing new, but it's a really nice feature to be able to get it from Rekordbox on this hardware. You know, most of these things I'm showing you, there's other platforms that allow you to do it, but it just means you're relying on a laptop to do so. The beauty of this is you're doing it directly from here. And, you know, that is pretty much everything on there. You can turn off the quantized Hotcues, so they're coming Not my style of DJing at all. My style is to keep quantize on, so they come in on time, so I can use them when I'm mixing. Camera, yeah? Just shout out if that happens. How long was that like that? Yeah, you know, Zane Lowe, he's all about creating rhythms with the Hotcued, so you can do that. The main draw to this, though, I personally think, is the price. You know, it's near enough a CDJ Nexus. It's bringing all the elements of the 900 Nexus and the 2000 Nexus into a scale. It's a scaled down version. You know, it hasn't got all the support that them two units have got, and all of the features are in a screen. It's definitely way better to have buttons, you know, hardware control over them, because if you want to use your Hotcues and your loops, you're kind of hindered. I mean, look how much of the screen is taken up. But it's a streamlined price as well. So I think it's a great option for the people that have got the lower end units, you know, the 850s and stuff like that. There was a time when nowhere had 2000s for a very long time, when I first started at Pioneer, and you'd be showing this to everyone and they'd be like, this is unbelievable, you know, you can do all this, but I'm never going to use it because there's no 2000s where I'm playing. And you could use your stick in a 350, you know, CDJ 350, an 850, a 900 and a 2000, but you only got a limited experience on, there was no quantized stuff on the 350 and the 850. It was only when you got onto the 900, it got a bit better. Then it was only when you got onto the 2000, you had the color screen. And then it was only the 2000 Nexus that you had the waveform going across. So it was kind of, you know, you're better off using Tractor with, this is being filmed as well. You're better off if you've got a CDJ of that kind, you know, using a DVS software so you can control it with the little platters on the 350 and get all of these features. But now we're kind of bringing a full record box experience to a lower priced unit. You know, these are going to retail at $829. And it's great that you have single units as well. You know, the next thing I'm going to go on to is an all-in-one solution, and which is also amazing. Slightly less budget as well. You know, you can put this into your setup for a lower price than these. But you are, you know, the benefits of having single players, you know, it goes without saying, you can have whatever mixer you want in there. You know, depending on your budget for that, you can get better sound quality if you go for a high quality mixer, or you can, some people love Pioneer units, but they're not too keen on Pioneer mixers. So you can have whatever mixer you want in there. And, you know, for whatever reason, if something does go wrong, you've got your separate units. If you're in a venue, you can take things out.